Well, the starting point is that God is a God of justice. He cares about justice, right? He cares about liberating the oppressed, caring for the orphans and widows. He cares about these. I mean, he cares about everything, but he does care about these nitty gritty, very human, physical details, right? And obviously, he's commanded the church to care, right, for people's physical needs, spiritual needs, emotional needs, relational needs. The church is supposed to do that. And sometimes the church has done a good job of that. So that's kind of the starting point. So, yes, when the church sees injustice, real injustice, right, it's supposed to respond like any Christian would, who's living the biblical mandate to be self-sacrificial and to be generous and kind and compassionate and to show love and to, I mean, really show love. You know, stay up late, give money, bring over food, make food, give clothes, be with somebody when they're grieving, spending time with mentally disabled people, right? These very real, raw manifestations of love. Yeah, the church is called to do that. Individual Christians are called to do that, right? And yeah, we're surrounded by injustice, so let's try to deal with as much of it as we can. We can't deal with all of it. We're not God ourselves, right? So that's important too, to know our limitations, but also to know what we're called to do. You know, one of the things that my wife always says is that when you let the government take over too many social programs, is you're letting the church off the hook, right? Because it should be the church's job primarily to alleviate as much of this, you know, physical, emotional, financial suffering in any community that it's in, right? And if you socialize your nation and give all this authority and responsibility and power and finances to government to do this, you're letting the church off the hook, because it's no longer, it doesn't have to do what it should be doing, right? I mean, obviously it should be teaching and ministering and discipling. I get that, right? But I mean, but those things, I mean, I think go together, right? The whole idea of, you know, one of the ways, I mean, when I was a young man in my early 20s, part of the ways I was being discipled at the church I went to wasn't just sitting and learning, you know, book Bible knowledge. It was going out and applying it by spending time with, you know, disadvantaged kids in the community who were rough to be around and needed Jesus so bad. That was how you put into practice that discipleship that you're learning in the classroom or the Sunday school classroom. So yeah, when the church sees injustice in the world around it, it should speak out about it, and it should in its community try to do something about it. And when it sees injustice, whether it's at an official level like the court or in politics, or it's at more of a community social level, it should speak out about that too. It has a role to play. It shouldn't shy away from that. It shouldn't say, that's not our role, right? I mean, look at abortion. It's such an injustice, right? I mean, it's not just the murder of human beings. It's the murder of innocent unborn human beings. Does the church have a role, an obligation to speak into that? Absolutely. It's abdicating that when it doesn't, out of some sort of fear of retribution or embarrassment or cowardice or whatever it is, right? That's an injustice. I mean, how is the world supposed to know what true injustice is if they don't have the truth that comes from Jesus? We have that truth. We are the light. We are the light and salt of the world. We're the ones who keep the world on track for what real justice and injustice is, right? Our whole justice system in the Western world is based in Christian thought, right? The morality that underpins our criminal justice system, it all goes back to Christian thought, right? And again, this goes back to the thinking, the ideas part. So I think justice is huge for individual Christians, for churches, for what we think about the nature of God and how he cares about it, for how much this comes up in the Bible, you know, especially in the wisdom, you know, with Solomon and Proverbs and Psalms. Justice is a really important concept for Christians to understand and to try to implement in their lives. I think that's why it's really neat when Christians become lawyers, right? Because you're taking this understanding of justice and now you're getting into the actual justice system, part of our society, to try to make sure that justice is done.